Hello? Test. Hello? Can we all hear me? We shall be starting soon. Please subscribe if you haven't, and check out this amazing subscribe prompt. Subscribe! He's gonna bounce out. There you go. Starting soon. Okay, let's get some purple faces. Can we get some purple faces? Purple faces, everyone. Places, purple faces. But no, really, some like purple demon faces of passion with horns. A few fans of the channel have pointed out that the horns and the purple thing is kind of like Gengar from Pokemon. And now I can't unsee it, so there's that. Loving it. Okay, and we're ready for Big Face. In 3, and 2, and 1. What's up, everybody? My name is Jan Erickson, and this is Monday Monad, my YouTube channel about Hyperianism and interstar actualization. Tonight is Friday. We have our Friday night chat in which we just kind of take a look at what's going on in the world and see what the Hyperion takeaway is. And here's my lovely little co-host, Loppy, the Revolutionary Unicorn, which is iconic in Monday Monad, and sort of a little bit of our mascot. So, today, what do we have for today on the agenda? Kind of a spicy subject. Honestly, I was thinking about it all through today, and I'm just like, I don't know where I want to go with this. Well, I do know where I want to go with it, but I had to think about how to word things very carefully because, these topics that we have to talk about have a tendency to branch out in ways where you just kind of lose sight of the main point. So I want to examine these things carefully with the Hyperion eye and through the eye of reason to show and explain why some things Hyperianism works to alleviate already with the wording. And I'm going to be shifting around a lot. Ooh. I've been doing weightlifting, and I don't want to say weight training because I'm not training for jack shit. But I've been doing weightlifting. Yesterday I did legs and stuff, doing a lot of squats with weights and things like that, deadlifts. So my hams are really sore. And let's say hello. Oh, wait. What are the subjects we're talking about? Right. I totally just, got off topic. I'm sorry. Pay attention, Jan. Anyways. So, the topics we're going to be talking about tonight are the sort of conspiracy. I say conspiracy with quotations because I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's, pretty straightforward. But there's a lot of people that think it's a conspiracy, mostly mainstream Christianity. How Disney lately has, in Disney World or Disneyland, they have dropped using the term boys and girls to be more inclusive of other genders. And people are losing their minds. And it leads into a discussion and some thoughts I have about Christian nationalism in general. We're going to talk about what that is and what the issues are with it. So those are the subjects tonight. Not my glutes, not my sweet hams that are in pain right now. Now we can say hello. So hello, everybody. Hello, Cynthia. Thank you so much for coming. Hello, Cassidy. Always good to see you. Hello, Robert. Hello, Ren Fairy. And Cassie. Always good to see you. Crystal Mason. Hello. Looks like we got the usual crowd. Anti-Crisis and Zero. Very nice. Yes, we got the family here. We got the Monday Monad family here. This is the core crew. So I hope you guys are excited for this discussion today. Like I said, it's kind of spicy. It's kind of juicy. So I've been thinking a lot on it as I have been exercising my hams. And just like the kind of approach I want to take to it. And the big discussion is, too, from a Hyperion perspective, is when we talk about and use terms like ignavi, what ignavi actually is. It's not a word that should be thrown around like you would use the word like muggle or something. Like, that's not, like, anything that's not Hyperion isn't instantly ignavi. So that's a very good note to take. But I'd like to start off with kind of looking at the whole situation with Disney supposedly being more inclusive, and I kind of stumbled upon a podcast, and I'd like to listen to it a little bit with you guys, because it starts to lead into one thought into another. There's dots that I'm connecting here as to, like, where these outcries and these outrages that mainstream Christianity has towards these progressive movements, and how they're starting to paint them and treat them, and how this sort of Christian nationalism we have going on in America is not Hyperion. We'll just say that. It is hot in here. That, or I'm just slightly nervous. No, I'm not nervous. Anyways, who else do we have in the house? Or is that it? I like a cozy room. Oh, we got Christina. Sick but lurking. Oh. Thank you so much for lurking, though. We definitely appreciate that. We appreciate the lurkage. Let me turn on the music a little bit. Okay. There we go. That should be good. That should be a good level. Yeah, say hello to Christina. What's the official Christina Awakened emoji for our... I believe Christina is also our only moderator for the evening. Our moderator is lurking. Make this bigger. That drink's done. I can never figure out, like, how to position the chat. I guess that's okay. Oh, and also, check out, I made this new subscribe prompt, so if I press this little button here, it pops up this little loppy lump over here, and it tells you you should subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And I have also another prompt that if you haven't known already, I have a Patreon. It's the official Patreon for Monday Monad. It's just with my name on it, so the link to that is here, patreon.com/JanEricksonOfficial with Loppy. Join that, and you can get access to our Discord server for Monday Monad lovers. Casty loves the prompt. It is cute, huh? It bounces. Cute little bouncy thing, and it goes. So, well, hello, Randall. Sorry you're late. Well, engage yourself in this deep discussion. We are talking about Disney and how people are really fired. So, this CBN isn't really like my go to. Really, like a lot. Like, I look at several articles about things and then I just kind of find one that sums everything up enough. But the reason why I chose this one is through it, I was finding this bit with like a podcast and it was saying something really interesting. But if you don't know already, um, a lot of mainstream Christianity and Christians are really upset about Disney's quote unquote woke agenda. And first of all, I'd like to say this sort of Christian nationalist, like right wing side, often uses these terms woke and stuff um, against progressive ideas and movements. And what sucks is a lot of good things get thrown together and mixed up in some things that aren't quite so progressive and rational. But woke is like kind of like a sort of a straw man term for a type of person or personality that mainstream Christianity and right wing Christian nationalists are always working against. And it's very annoying at some times. So, woke is a word, I don't like using that word just because there's just way too much controversy over it. But apparently, Disney is getting woke. And they have an agenda, apparently. And there are some Christians that are protesting this woke agenda. What happened to my... I had a paper towel to blow my nose on. I still struggle with allergies. Anyways. So this article was written pretty recently. Oh no, I can't be making that noise in the... snorting up my snot. Hold on, people. Sorry about that. Anyways. Let's read. So, the twin theme parks at the center of the late Walt Disney's fantastical imagination, Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, have found themselves twisted in a tale unfolding in the modern era. Oh, this wording. I don't know about it. I especially love this line. A faith-fueled clapback. This is not a clapback. Ugh. But anyways, a crowd of conservatives and Christians, and some, here's the interesting thing, that were actually former and even current Disney employees gathered at the Walt Disney Company headquarters in Burbank, California, Wednesday evening to protest the beloved brand's perceived attack on parents through the targeting of their children. So there's also this sort of bill and this thing going on in Florida, this sort of don't say gay thing, in which that you can't even talk about or acknowledge any homosexuals existing at all to, I guess, kindergarten-age children in Florida, but The strange thing and the debunking thing about that is nobody is teaching young children in school, especially kindergarten age in public schools, about homosexuality. So we got this that's going on that's getting people riled up. And then we have Disney coming out and saying, hey, we're going to start acknowledging other genders. So from a hardcore mainstream religious, mainstream Christianity, Christian nationalism point of view, to have children acknowledge the existence of homosexuals or any other gender is instantly categorized as, something that's sexualizing children or inappropriate, or something to do with the P word, which I hope you know what that means. We guess we can't say that word on YouTube, which I think is very silly. But it makes sense considering how much Christian nationalists use that as a weapon, and they use it inappropriately. And they use that to categorize anybody who is supporting of trans people, trans healthcare, education of different kinds of genders. And for children that are like in kindergarten age and stuff, like nobody's teaching a full sex ed course to them. It's simply just in reference to talking about like, hey, some kids have two daddies or two mommies, or some kids just have two non-binary parents. Nobody's actually planning, nobody has an agenda to teach small children about sex, not at that age anyways. So things are pretty riled up in Florida, as you can see, between Disney and that bill that's going on. Now, what's interesting, what I want to kind of look into the point of view of a little bit, and let's pause the music, because I was scrolling down here reading this, and I'm like, okay, the Christians are getting really mad about this. They think their children are being sexualized, but they're not, which is weird, because straight cis people sexualize children all the time. They just, they don't recognize it, so. Yeah, let's see. So there's this podcast called the 4 and 3 podcast. I haven't really heard much of them before, so I was kind of listening through, skimming through. And let me see if I can get this to go through.
But the teachers' unions don't want.
Okay, good. So let's listen to this for a little bit. What these people have to say.
And we need to do something about it. And one of the things he pushes for, guys, is just school choice. And which, of course, these AFT and others view school choice as some, it's some horrific policy that's some sort of human rights violation when really it would just give parents a way to use their tax dollars and that they're spending to send their kids elsewhere and have some options. But the teachers' unions don't want that. And here you see Salon echoing exactly what Weingarten is saying in this coordinated sort of campaign here online. So, why does it matter? Obviously, so many of us send our kids to, different schools, private schools. We homeschool, but a lot of people send their kids to public schools. And so this, and the country, even if you're not in that, the country we live in, you're going to be impacted by what the kids are taught, since most of them go to public school. How those kids come out, how they're turned out, what they believe will have ripple effects down the road, which, I would argue is why progressives so focus on the schools, because they're trying to churn out a bunch of progressives. So that's obviously why it matters. Want to get your guys' take on all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all these issues are. It's sort of like the song, not to pull from Disney in light of everything that's going on there, but we don't want to. We don't talk about Bruno, right? Like Bruno here is just like all these issues. We can't talk about it, so let's focus somewhere else. What's really sad about this is that when you look at these issues, the reality is school choice is great, all these things are great. There's no world in which you could get rid of the public school system, right? There's millions of kids that need to be educated. They're not going to there's not enough private schools to take them. But the point is, for these people to not be willing to come to the table, I mean, how many years has this been going shit on thing? Not one world ranked for it, then no happen.
That just got like totally warped. This is not like what I heard. Hold on, let me try
We
and
get a
find the
window
part.
into the classroom.
Yeah, and I think that we're watching that now. When you tell parents, and look, I think parents need to be involved. We're too complacent in this country. But when you tell parents, now you're your kid's teacher, and you're going to do all this, and you have to do this while you're working, and you're stressed out, and you're
There's it right here.
As we know it, and culture wars are simply his newest weapon. And then she followed that up a couple days later with a tweet that said, "When I tweeted at Betsy DeVos and Chris Rufo."
This is not what I found. I swear this has changed, but no, they were saying something about like how the actual like Christians there were saying that Disney used to not be like so progressive until like recently, and now they're doing it just for the publicity.
That's right, the AFT. That's correct. And so she is out there, and she tweeted this just a couple days ago. She said, "Christopher Rufo, like Betsy DeVos, want string things." But that's not the case. That's not what he's doing. He's just using social media as a battleground to fight this fight. And it's interesting to me, guys, that what I wanted to talk about here with you guys, also showing the sexualization that's happening at schools, not just the race topic, but just overt sexual nonsense that's being taught at these schools and perversion. And the discussion now is being shifted to Rufo. So it's interesting to me. What I wanted to bring this up for and talk to you guys about is pull back a little bit and look at the big picture of what's happening here, and don't get dragged into this, character assassin. There was a surge of comments about Rufo a few weeks ago.
This is so weird.
Well,
I can't find the thing I was
in
listening to earlier, so now I feel bad because I'm dragging you all through this. Hold on. Let me check in with you guys first. So I'm trying to find like this precise thing, and I swear like I've been listening to it over and over, so I don't know why it's different right now. I'm gonna lose all your attention. Hello, Deathlands. How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah. No, exactly, Randall. Nobody's being taught how to be gay. Anyways. It is hot in here. Ooh. I'm trying to find this particular thing that was said.
And also employees who staged walkouts from Disney at their offices in the midst of hosting their Reimagine Tomorrow Summit, which is an internal conference for employees at Disney. And this is a gender identity from...
We're going to be fair, even coming from a conservative perspective on some of these issues. I do think one legitimate critique they have of some of the school choice stuff is you start to compare schools that don't take kids. If your school doesn't take any kid with special needs, you don't take anybody, well, of course you're going to perform better than a public school that has to.
The mischaracterized "Don't Say Gay" bill, which I feel like a pass.
I know, right?
But I guess that defeats the purpose, because
Right.
homeschooling is
It's not
corporatized,
right. Exactly.
or government run. So. Yeah.
Not yet.
So, all right, let's move on to story number 2. So we're continuing down this Disney saga. All of it obviously was kind of catalyzed by the mischaracterized "Don't Say Gay" bill, which I feel like a broken record at this point, but let's just say it's called the Parental Rights in Education Bill, and all it does is stipulates that educators are prohibited in public schools from teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity from pre-K through 3rd grade. Not controversial. or at least it shouldn't be. But it has become controversial. So Bob Chapek, he's the CEO of Disney. Initially, he tried to stay apolitical. He said, all we're going to do is we're going to pull back our donations, the Walt Disney Company. We're no longer going to make political donations to anybody for the time being because of this bill. He said we support the LGBT community, but he refused to wade into the specific politics of the parental rights and education bill in Florida. He just, kind of tried to sidestep it. He faced immediate and intense backlash from internal employees at Disney who are pro-LGBT who are LGBT, and then advocacy groups also on the outside condemned him. So he kowtowed to that pressure and he released a statement, and Disney has since gone all in on this. In late March, the Walt Disney Company said that they're going to do everything that they can to get the bill repealed. I'm not really certain what that means, but that's what they've said, and they've been pretty vociferously opposed to DeSantis, the governor in Florida, and to this bill ever since mid-March. So that's the backdrop. They also just hosted, or in the midst of hosting, their Reimagine Tomorrow Summit, which is an internal conference for employees at Disney. And this is this is the hostage video that we were talking about earlier. Chapek decided to address this issue, obviously specifically internally, and this is just a portion of what he had to say to employees.
By now, I hope you've all read my most recent note, in which I pledged to be a better ally for the LGBTQ plus community, apologize for not being the ally that you needed me to be, and committed to ensuring that our company lives up to its values. I meant every word. And that's what we're here to talk about today. I know that we've got work to do, and that work starts with listening. I'm glad the company will hear from today's panel of LGBTQ plus employees, and I hope that you are as impacted as I've been by the voices that I've heard over the past few weeks. I've read many emails that have been sent, spoken with LGBTQ plus employees and their allies, met with advocacy groups, and convened my own leadership team. And I have been taken by the honesty, the open.
Him on policy changes, which he said he plans to implement quickly. Now, in that clip, which was shared, we should say, by Christopher Rufo, in that clip, he didn't specify what those changes, whether male or ideology, to raise your voice
as we know it.
Dumpster fire. But he uses Twitter.
Comments about Rufo, you have one side saying CRT isn't happening and what's happening to them go to public school.
I swear this thing changed because I've been listening to it for all week. But anyways, there's a lot of current Christian employees of Disney that have come out, and it's funny because I think, hello, our moderator Christina used to work at Disneyland. But anyways, this is Disney World, I believe. Same thing. But to have the Christian employees come out and say that, things used to not be this progressive until they got into political hot water. This is the kind of conversation that leads to Christians thinking along the lines of they just need to stand with their convictions in of itself just for the sheer jolly of it. And not necessarily for fun, but it highlights the Christian victimization mentality that they have. When something goes against their religious or more, moral beliefs, suddenly the political factor comes in. Because without that sort of structure, they feel very threatened. So And you see, and this isn't like something like super weird that I'm talking about. You see this all over the place, point blank. You see this with the pro-life people getting involved with political affairs and people's rights to certain kinds of health care. And it's ongoing. But, there's that bridge between the religious morals and the ideology that they have and the actual impact and action. And some of these Christian protesters are coming out and saying, if we all gather together, we're all gathering together. If we all have a powerful voice, we just all need to, work together and raise our voice and try to change these people who are obviously trying to groom and sexualize our children, which is a total, like, over exaggeration, because within their religious morals, anything homosexual or quote unquote gay is instantly equated with immorality. I am just sweating up a storm. Ooh. It's instantly categorized as evil. It's instantly considered satanic or evil or nasty or gross or unholy. It doesn't matter how much. And I can even go back to when I was younger. And I grew up in Utah, right? In a super religious family. In a Mormon family. But, they're still pretty Christian. And they got the same basis of morals. And I remember getting into high school and having friends that were gay. They might have been questioning it at the time, but there was prejudice from my parents, and it flip-flopped. It was weird. There were some instances where they were very adamant against homosexuality, and then, they didn't want to be seen as assholes, especially my mother. Ugh, she could never be seen as anything but super chaste and perfect. She did not agree with any homosexuality or anything like that, but, there were times where she was nice to some of the friends I brought over who were homosexual, and then other times she would turn around and not want me to have anything to do with them whatsoever. Really big prejudice there. So, anything homosexual is instantly equated to the word that starts with P that has to do with children that apparently we can't see. Pedophilia. I'm trying to say it weird. So we can't, there's that association. And there's this adamant, especially by a lot of the super right-wing extremist Christian nationalists that just instantly categorize those people. Anybody who even is an ally to trans people is instantly categorized as a supporter of those things. Which is so beyond, and that's why in the beginning I'm like, I call this a conspiracy. Because it's absolute nonsense to just equate the two things together that just have nothing to do with anything. It's just because they think it's anything that isn't a penis going into a vagina is perversion. It's just, what a boring world. What a very limited and just narrow-minded world. This is a big mess. Absolutely, 100% big mess. I'm trying to find that precise part where this one woman was getting very riled up about it. And I swear...
Now, interesting in all of this, and I'm not going to go through the whole piece here, but they basically are just calling out Christopher Rufo. They're trying to do this. And if you remember, punish somebody. It's really just, it's unbelievable to watch that we're turning into this mob-like society where if you don't agree with this one group, you're now a pariah. But I can't imagine this has a positive effect for LGBTQIA plus whatever other letters they want to add in there. I can't imagine that has a positive effect for people in that community going forward. What CEO is going to want to have one of these LGBT panels in there when they see this guy being trotted out in a hostage tape, essentially having to pander to this group and, you know, beg for their approval on everything. And I've not been a good enough ally. Like, what? What? Who? I mean, that kind of talk is insane.
But see, I think that the strategy is exactly the opposite of that. I think they want to terrify these businesses and people so much so that they are so afraid of the fact that they might have to sit in a room and do that, that they will do exactly what they want to do beforehand, so that never even happens.
Right.
I think.
So, I think it was, let's see. Oh, this is a great person. We love this person. No, we don't. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? We know this lady. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an absolute batshit crazy lady. And let's see. This is a very good example of somebody who is a Christian nationalist. And very, just super nasty reactionary. Let's see. 10 hours ago. Jesus, she must be going through something. But she's posted something recently. Where is it? She said something recently. I need to get all my resources together just perfectly. Here we go. No. No. No, I totally had all my resources together, and now they seem like totally messed up now. Yeah, so, oh yeah, here it is. So, pretty much Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that anybody who opposes the she calls it anti-grooming laws, like the one in Florida, is a pro-child predator, and is apparently saying sexualizing children. She must have deleted that, or that got deleted.
Jenner winning Olympic. Like you, I was shocked when I heard that Fox News had hired Bruce Jenner to be its newest female political contributor. We remember Jenner winning Olympic gold in 1976 and from the front of the Wheaties box. But today, Jenner believes he is a woman. I'd love to know which female contributors were passed over or perhaps even made redundant to clear space for Fox's newest starred transgender commentator. We will never know their names. Bruce Jenner was hired on the last day of Women's History Month, but for many of us, it felt like the last day in women's history. We've all watched.
God, I'm already bored, like, listening to her. Marjorie Taylor Greene is just like a grade A good example of what it means to be Ignavi. Supposedly, she feels threatened by Jimmy Kimmel, which she can't even take a joke, which is hilarious because the right wing Christians are always going on about like this cancel culture, but then they are the first to always cancel people. Here it is. Okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene says there is a line in the sand. Either you are pro pedophile and pro transgender biological men, or you defend children and women, period. There is no other option. So this is the kind of dangerous mentality I wanted to point out by Christian nationalists. And it's, where they want to cross the bridge between, or make a bridge between religious ideals and, political movements, or shaping the way that humanity needs to operate in order for it to be productive. This drawing the line in the sand, it really highlights like where the mindset is. Christianity is not progressive at all in this sense, at all. This mainstream Christianity. And anything that is progressive, that challenges their morality, is instantly categorized as something extremely sinister. And that's extremely dangerous thinking, because it means if you even like entertain or think about challenging these mainstream Christian morals and ideas, then you're going to instantly sign yourself up for, being labeled as somebody who is evil and nasty and disgusting, and nobody wants to be labeled as that. So when you grow up with this reality tunnel and this mindset, under parents that have these kind of ideas, for children who are actually, going to find out later in life that they're homosexual or that they're, a different gender from what they were assigned, if they entertain any of those thoughts at all, they're going to instantly start harboring nasty thoughts and feelings about themselves, and it's going to start breeding really nasty shadow stuff, shadow content for humanity. So these are really dangerous ideas. And there's this part about Christian nationalists where they love to victimize themselves. They love to make themselves look like they're being attacked, like they're going to be squashed away, like they're going to be forever like mutilated, into submission. And they've been that way since the dawning of Christianity. It's always got this narrative of victimization. Even Jesus Christ himself is one big fat freaking moralistic victim. It's honestly really irritating, this attitude of just like, oh, poor us, like we're getting attacked, we're gonna be, blah blah blah, we better rally up and rise together because these nasty, disgusting people are going to sexualize their children when they can't even entertain the idea. Well, here's the thing. Here's where I wanted to lead to about Christian nationalists, is that it's starting to come out. They do know better. They do understand the reasoning of like why that's not the case. But they'll go ahead and choose otherwise. And this is what makes an Ignavi. You see, people who have ideas that just aren't, lining up with Hyperianism or something. If something isn't Hyperion, it doesn't instantly label it as Ignavi, as ignorant. That's not a term you just throw around like the word Muggle, like, oh, frickin' Muggles, and like we're in Harry Potter or some shit. No, what makes an Ignavi is somebody who knows the reasoning, who knows better, and who chooses to stand with their belief system, these Christian belief systems anyways. And this applies to other religions too. The reason I'm talking about Christian nationalism is because I grew up in Christianity, mainly Mormonism, and I'm here in America, so this is what I know. But you can apply a lot of this to other things. So, interesting, I read this thing earlier about this small test on people who have, Christian nationalist ideas. And how, even though they know correct facts about history and like the sort of like influence that religion has on the political system, they'll go ahead and answer incorrectly anyways. So in this political psychology of religious studies, it says people who support Christian nationalism in the United States tend to perform worse on a test of religion's role in American history. And this is according to new research. There's been a fairly large amount of research on conservative Christians, particularly those influenced by the Christian right, like the white evangelicals, and their views of science or their knowledge about basic scientific facts. Blah, blah, blah. Associate professor of sociology in Oklahoma, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, research has consistently shown that conservative Christians tend to score lower on, say, brief science quizzes than other Americans. However, research also shows this isn't necessarily because they're less intelligent. Keep that in mind. And this is what kind of gets the hairs rising on the back of my neck. This is what to me is scarier than somebody not being intelligent. So it's not because they're less intelligent or even ignorant about like what the right answer is, but rather their response patterns suggest that they are answering particular scientific questions according to their theology, their ideology, their religious ideas. For example, conservative Christians don't tend to score lower on science questions that are religiously uncontested, like questions about lasers, atoms, or viruses. I don't know about that, though. Explained the author. But when you ask them about stuff like the Big Bang or evolution or the continental drift, things that are more associated with explanations of, religious explanations, which is weird because why wouldn't they give more religious explanations about atoms unless they're just talking mostly about like the mechanism of which, they operate. But anyways, they score lower because they reject the scientific consensus on those questions. So, related to this, we found that Christian nationalist ideology is a powerful predicator of this kind of response patterning on science quizzes. Americans who strongly affirm Christian nationalism score roughly the same as other Americans on uncontested science questions. So generic science questions that don't really need a religious backup with it. But Christian nationalism is the strongest predicator of that Americans get the contested questions wrong. So the research analyzes the responses from a nationally representative sample of a little over 1,300 American adults who had participated. So it's a small test, but it's very interesting. And as part of the survey, the participants were asked to respond to 5 true and false statements about religion in American political history. The Participants were also asked the extent to which they agreed with the statement, such as the federal government should declare the United States as a Christian nation, and the success of the United States is a part of God's plan. So they asked them questions that kind of intertwined politics with their religious ideology. And that always turned out in support for Christian nationalism. And what's interesting is that they gave them certain responses for it. So they found that the people who scored lower on the Brief American History quiz tended to be more supportive of Christian nationalism. And interestingly, when they removed the I don't know responses from their analysis, the researchers found that the negative relationship between historical knowledge and the Christian nationalism strengthened. So when they would ask them these questions that would sort of have some sort of religious connotation with it, they would give them only a true or false option, but they would take away any sort of middle ground answers. And when they took away those more neutral answer options, these people would always lean more to the Christian nationalist type of answers. So, anyways. When they removed those responses, the researchers found that the negative relationship between historical knowledge and Christian nationalism strengthened, suggesting that support for Christian nationalism is associated with intentionally affirming factually incorrect statements. So that, again, these people are intentionally answering some of these questions incorrectly because that incorrect answer or response supports their internally held beliefs about like how the nation and how people should be governed. These people truly believe that there needs to be a lot of movement and action taken to force other people to live this way. And if you don't live this sort of Christian nationalist way, if you even think about living out of this norm, their norm of their binary gender and sexual roles, if you even consider being outside of that, then you are considered something that is not worthy of respect. You're considered less than human, which really sets up just sort of a premise for them to be abusive, 100%. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, is this thing where, I get asked, I see comments here and there about, not just me, but other Hyperion creators, like, whoa, why do you pick on the religious? What did they do? Like, well, what about the Christians? Like, why do you keep picking on them and stuff like that? It's like, have you looked at this? Have you, looked at where it gets dangerous? This is an example. And there's so much more. This isn't just the only example of how Christian nationalism is dangerous. There's many examples, but this is just one. So yes, I am against when I say mainstream religion, it's a big broad term for other things too. We could look at some other religions and start picking apart some things, but this is the one that's in my face the most, so I talk about this the most. I don't think this is good at all. We're instantly taking words like progressive and we're turning it into something of a weapon. Oh, anything that's progressive is instantly perverted. Wow, that really sets up a narrative, doesn't it? It sets up a narrative against rational thought. Like, you can't even begin to think rationally. Otherwise, you'll be labeled a pervert. So anyways, I'm going to read this other paragraph because it's interesting. So they said, that we found that even after we accounted for Americans' religious, political, and demographic characteristics, those who more strongly affirmed Christian nationalism were more likely to believe false things about religion's place in American history. They were more likely to believe, for example, that the U.S. Constitution references our country's obligations to God several times. It does not. That the First Amendment says that Congress could make laws privileging Christianity. It does not. Or that the Supreme Court made it illegal to pray or read your Bible in the public schools. It did not. We also show that this isn't necessarily connected to the lack of education or lack of confidence in one's answers. In fact, we show that the more Americans affirm Christian nationalism, the more likely to give confident wrong answers. Or the more likely they are to give confident wrong answers. That's what raises the hair on the back of my neck. This is what is true Ignavi for me. Is people who are just so confident against basic reasoning, against reason itself. And in Hyperianism, we say we are reason itself. So this is very anti-Hyperion. This is scary. This is scary that people have this mentality and they stand with this very much. And this victimizing mentality they have where anything against it is attacking them and they have to rise up when they can't even consider adapting and changing it and things like that. They will confidently give wrong answers to things, not just to this little test, but this really highlights just their attitude in general. So anyways, they say one issue that we are not able to answer definitively is whether the connection between Christian nationalist ideology and incorrect views of history is due primarily to ideology or the sort of information such Americans have been receiving. I think it's both in some ways. But a lot of it's the ideology that's just been passed down and the attitude of victimization. So yeah. Let us check back with the people. Let's get our music going again. Whew. So, yeah, this is a really difficult discussion because, like, I don't want to sit here and tell you guys, like, Christians are bad. And I have to use the phrase mainstream religion all the time to just refer to a lot of things because people are just like, why are you attacking Christianity so much? Because there's so much with Christianity that ties into the political agendas. And talk about having an agenda. And with the Disney thing, them being more inclusive, and supposedly Disney wasn't planning on being this inclusive until they got into some hot water politically. Progression happens in a multitude of ways. But to start to label progression, the word itself is something like that's perverted. Progression is not perversion. And I don't like, especially as somebody who has been an actual victim of somebody who is religious and an actual P-word, predator, child, P-word. I don't like how Christian nationalists, like for example Marjorie Taylor Greene, are just instantly equating like, oh, if you stand with trans people or trans people having the right to good health care, this, that, trans representation and other things, then you are instantly like perverted, you are instantly pro-pedophilia. This is insanity. this is Ignavi. And this article, like when I read it, like I said, it scared the hell out of me, because like it shows that it's like they're confident about giving wrong answers because it feels good to them when they stand up to their ideology, or stand up to this progression, or this thing that they find perverted. When they stand up to this, it gives them a lot of like confidence. It's like, yeah, I'm standing up for my faith. Like, we have been persecuted throughout all the ages since the beginning of Christianity itself. Like I said, the whole story of Christ himself is just one big giant victimization story. Like this victimizing, like, oh, poor us, we're being attacked by these evil, nasty, perverted people. I'm getting sick of it. And as a Hyperion, it's like, yes, this is the Ignavi we're talking about. So I kind of like don't like it when some people throw the word Ignavi around like it's also the word like Muggle. Like, we're not in Harry Potter. Not everything that isn't Hyperion is Ignavi. It's this mentality, this confident giving of the wrong answers, knowing better, knowing what is actually reasonable, but then standing with this religious ideology anyways, just because why? Because of the belief, because of the victimization, because I gotta stick with this. Whereas in Hyperianism, like, we need to do what is most reasonable. And sometimes what is most reasonable will go against our current morality at the moment. Perhaps we're in a place, maybe some people just don't understand what it's like to be a homosexual person, what it's like to be a gay person, what it's like to be a trans person. Hell, I even talked to my mother on the phone just last week, and she expressed she does not understand me being non-binary trans. And I told her, I'm like, you don't have to understand that, that's okay. What's not okay is to put this in a category of like, I'm mistaken, or I must be wrong, or something. Like, this mentality is disgusting. We cannot demonize being progressive. Man, it is hot. I am so sorry. Whew. It's just steaming in here. I don't know. So anyways, that's my rant for today. And I am stuck in my sweater. I really am stuck in my sweater. Okay. Anyways. Hello. Oh, hi, Morg. Thank you for coming in. Hello, Mike Blackford, who says, oh yes, I've had a few buddies that believe their own lies. I think, or they think it's the truth. Yes. Well, what's scariest to me is not somebody who truly believes in their religious ideology, but somebody who can actually rationalize otherwise. They can rationalize above the religious belief, but then continue to stick with the religious belief anyways. I grew up with a couple of these people. I grew up with two men in my home who were well educated in biology, science, and chemistry, and astronomy, and especially mathematics. But we're still so Mormon and into the Mormon ideology. I mean, they would say one thing scientifically and factually, and then just like know it, understand it, and then say, but here's what God says. Here's what we say as Mormons. Here's what our religion is. That, you know, if there's one thing that will drive me to end up in a straitjacket in a padded room, I think it's that. It's people who actually rationally know what is true, but then choose to go for the belief anyways. That is very Ignavi, that is scary. That is frightening to me. That is not good. It makes the, like, I read the article, like, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I'm just like, that is insane. That it shows that people will confidently give wrong answers just because. And please, if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Check out my little bouncy loppy lump. Look at it bouncing up. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. It's gonna go away. Bump, bump. There you go. And then I also have a Patreon. If you become a member of my Patreon for Monday Monad, you can get access to our Discord server where you can talk to me, ask me more personal questions. Not about me. Please stop. Please don't ask me personal questions about me. But you can ask me things like more one-on-one if you're having a hard time understanding things. And then we also have forums and places there where we share dreams with each other, or we just chit-chat and enjoy each other's company. So to do that, you can go to patreon.com/Jan Erickson Official. And joining that definitely helps me out a lot. It helps me keep this channel up and running. It feeds Loppy. All sorts of good things. Let me scroll up. Yeah, so weird that Christian nationalists have this idea that children are being sexualized when there's always heterosexualization depicted for children, and not to mention it's like for like little boys, people will ask like, "Oh, you're so cute, Jaden. Do you have a girlfriend?" And they're like 6, and it's like, but if that little boy was like, "Yeah, I like this other boy named Brandon," then that would just be really like nasty. But if that little boy was like, "Oh, I like this girl named Kaden and Jaden," I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with like quintessential like white Karen, middle-aged Karen like names for children. Like Asher or Jaden or I'm sorry if any of you have these names. I'm so sorry if any of you have these names. But no, it's really weird. I mean, there's so much depiction of heteronormative relationships for children. But if it's anything different, then it's considered perverted. That doesn't make sense to me. Like in Disney shows, if they portray like 2 kids, like one's a cis boy and one's a cis girl, and they have a little fling or a little like connection or a little crush, that's cute and endearing and wholesome. But if it was like 2 kids, like 2 young boys, like having a little fling with each other, like then it's like perverted and nasty. Like I don't understand it. And there are people out there who do understand it, and they'll go against it anyways. In Hyperianism, I mean, obviously we're in Hyperianism, in the Hyperion New Terra or New World, like there's no plan anyways, even without Hyperianism, to sexualize young children. But there has to be some sort of context of the diversity of people. And we're gonna have children with like two non-binary parents. How are they even going to function in society? Cassie, oh, hi Cassie. Cassie says Owl House by Disney has same-sex crush. It's such a cute show. I watched the cutest little show today. I wonder if we can, like, show it. Where it was, like, it's a short film, and it's called My Shadow is Pink. And it has, like, the same kind of context as in Hyperianism when we talk about shadow being the part of your psyche that you kind of generally repress. It has that same context, so I wonder if I can find it and if we can watch it. Cause it's like, it's really freaking cute. Really cute. Oh, here it is. So I watched this earlier, and I'm like, I almost cried because it was like, it's so freaking adorable, and it's very Hyperion. I think we might have to watch it without the sound, maybe. It's okay because there's no words in it. So it's a little boy. And there's this room. It's all blue. And you can see it's all quintessential boy stuff. There's his dad. His dad's all manly. Oh, I love the frame of, like, mustaches. And there's his shadow. And his shadow is pink. And he was like, oh, go away. This is so freaking cute. He's all grumpy, ignoring his shadow. Now his shadow's offering him a little pink unicorn. That's cute. He's offering him the unicorn. This is so, like, Hyperion. This is such a Hyperion message. He's denying his shadow. And so he says, no, I don't want the pink unicorn. But it's him. It's a part of him. It's like, it's his subconscious. It's his shadow, and his shadow is pink. His shadow's trying so hard. But no, he's supposed to be a boy. See? This is how I'm supposed to be. Oh, now it's got like a crown and a little skirt. That's what he likes. Oh, come on. Now he's telling his shadow, see, that's how I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be all boyish. Now his pink shadow has a skirt. No, do you want to come dance? There's no, like, anything. It's just, like, classical music. Take his hand. There we go. Now he's having a moment where he's accepting his shadow. And they're dancing and they're having fun. And his shadow's showing him, you should put on your dress. Uh-oh. There's his dad. There's his dad's shadow. It's all like big and blue and like manly. Oh. When his dad goes away. That's so sad. Rejected. What? Dress up as your shadow? That's cool. I want to do that. I want to have a dress up as your shadow ball. Like a shadow ball is like a Hyperion. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun thing. Oh, he's getting the confidence to wear his dress. And now he's gonna go to school. And there's his dad. And there's his dad's shadow. I love the dad's shadow is like all blue and like in the background, lurking around. So I'm assuming dress up as your shadow day is something that goes on in school. But that's a weird, obscure thing. Like, if you don't have some sort of premise or understanding of what shadow means, like, that's, like, dress up as your shadow. What does that mean? But he got rejected at school. And he got scared. That's sad. Now he's all sad. Now. Awesome. Now his dad's finally turned around. And his dad's shadow. Aw. A little heart to heart. Now his dad's encouraging him finally, supporting him more to go to school. And there's his shadow. You are loved exactly as you are. Ow! My shadow is pink. I thought this was the most darling little story. Ever. And I love that. I love that my shadow is pink. Because when we talk about shadow and Hyperianism, we talk about the parts that you bury deep inside of you that either you do yourself or it's buried by society or a combination of both. Things that are considered, unacceptable to express. And when people think of shadow, they instantly think like, oh, it means being a rude person or a rude Disney villain, but not necessarily. So that I love this little animated short called My Shadow is Pink because I think that's like a more true example, with this little boy where his shadow is pink and just like love to dance and wear the tutu, and it was just socially unacceptable for him to be interested in those things. But then, eventually gets the support by his dad, and it even, like, portrays the dad's shadow as, like, big, boyish, and then his shadow even, like, relaxes, and starts putting on a tutu himself. So I love that so much. When I first watched that earlier, I'm just like, squish, squish, like, squish, oh, tears. Tears. Tears, tears, tears. So I don't know. It's just beyond me how Christian nationalists think that they're protecting children from what? Being sexualized, from being groomed. I know what it's like to be sexualized and groomed by Christian ideals. I see where the sexualizing and the grooming is there, but I fail to see where the sexualizing and the grooming is in the LGBT plus community, because there's more of a rational movement going on there. Hyperianism is definitely pro LGBTQ. There's going to be people that aren't A or B in their sexuality or their identity. They're going to be something else. And we do need to be progressive. And we got to stop associating the word progressive with being perverted, because it's so beyond irrational. It's not even funny. It's completely ignavi. And I don't know. I personally, I don't know what to do about these people who purposefully stick to their convictions and answer things incorrectly and stuff. That scares me, honestly. I guess I'll just say that as my final personal, like, ending thing. The ignavi scared the bejesus out of me. It's okay to have fears and stuff, but yeah. Ignavi, ignorant people like this, these Christian nationalists, they scared the hell out of me. And they're going to be the ones that bring this world to a ruin. Absolutely. But I'm not standing for it. This is a war of the mind and ideas. And I will not vouch or support that kind of nonsense. So, anyways, back to Big Face. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I apologize for not having my sources better organized. I swear I did. I thought I had my sources better organized, but I guess I didn't. So I will make a note about that. But I know. Oh, I know. Morg says, I loved that. I know, me too. It's so cute. My shadow is pink. I love it so much. Everybody go watch it again and cry. So adorable. But I think that's just like way more wholesome and cute, and just like we need this environment where we allow children to explore these things without associating it with something bad and like teaching them how to hate themselves. That's absolutely nasty. Absolutely nasty. Kids shouldn't be sexualized, period, but Christian nationalists don't want to admit that they're the biggest proponents of that. Ooh. Spilling the tea. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me tonight. I do plan to post something on Monday. I missed last Monday. Something came up. My roommate was very ill, and I needed to take care of them. I needed to, because they've been so kind in taking care of me through my many illnesses, and I needed to return the favor and make sure that they were okay while taken care of. So I sacrificed some of my time to ensure their comfort. But I do plan to release a video next Monday. I think I'm going to change the format of filming up a little bit just to make it more conversation focused and less focused on graphics and things like that. Not that I've been putting in a bunch of graphics in it, but anyways. Oh, thank you, Josh. Josh the Canadian says this is a very good stream. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a tough topic, this Christian nationalism stuff. It's some hot tea, and it's just with the whole Florida bill and everything, and just treating trans people like they're nasty, gross people. This is just, honestly, Christian nationalists are disgusting. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene are disgusting. People like, oh, I could keep going on. I could keep naming names. We'll look at more people in the future. I hope you all have a good weekend. Please take care. And if you have not already, subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel for Hyperion content every Monday and Friday. And potentially on Wednesdays. We'll see, though. Anyways. Take care, everyone. Take care. Thank you.